Dirshu Daf Yomi Behalacha, Gimel Tammuz, June 22nd. We are at the bottom of Daf Hafhet Amud Bet, Siman Kuf Memvav, Daf Hafhet Amud Bet, Asur Latzet Ulhaniach Sefer Torah Keshehu Patuach. A person is not allowed to exit the Bet Knesset. A person is not allowed to leave the Bet Knesset during Kriyat Torah. Aval ben Gavra le Gavra Shapir Dameh. However, in between aliyot, in between people being called up, a person may leave, he may exit the Bet Knesset. Let's see the Mishnah Brura, Siman Kuf Mem Vav, Seif Aleph, Seif Katan Aleph, Asur Latzet Valze Ne'emar, Ve'ozve Hashem Yichlu. Those who abandon Hashem will be consumed. Umetar Geminan Utshavek Oraita Da Hashem Yishtetzun. Va'afilu ika asara detzaite la sefer Torah zulato. Even if there are 10 people present, even if a person leaves, and there are still 10 people who are paying careful attention to the Kriyat Torah, a person is not allowed to leave in the middle of the Kriyah. Vegamu kevar shama Kriyat Torah ba'asara, afilu hache asur. Even if there's still 10 people, and even if he already heard Kriyat Torah, a person may not exit, he may not leave in the middle of Kriyat Torah. Aval ben Gavra le Gavra, vehu keshenish'aru asara bebet HaKnesset, but in between aliyot, in between those people are being called up, as long as there's still 10 people in the Bet Knesset, a person may leave. Shapir Dame, Vahainu keshekevar shama kriyat HaTorah, o sheda'ato lavo miyad, v'gam ze eno motar ki im keshu letzorech gadol. This that we said it's mutar, this that al pi halacha Marana Shulchan Aruch writes, that it is mutar to leave in between aliyot. That is specifically if he either already heard Kriyat Torah or he intends to return right away. And it's only mutar if a person has a big reason. Letzorech gadol, a person has a major reason to leave. But if a person does not have a major reason to leave, it is not so simple just to walk out of the Bet Knesset, even in between aliyot. Seif Bet, Kevan shehitchila kore likrot b'sefer Torah, asur lesaper afilu bedivrei Torah, afilu ben Gavra le Gavra, va'afilu im hishlim hu parasha. Once the Baal Koreh began to read the Torah, a person may not begin, he may not talk even in Divrei Torah, even in between aliyot, and even if he himself already heard the parasha. Ve'yesh matirim ligros, there are those who permit, there is an opinion, there are those who permit to read quietly, to learn quietly. Ve'yesh omrim she'im yesh hatzara detzaite, and there are those who say, there are those who are of the opinion that if there are 10 people that are paying attention, la sefer Torah, mutar lesaper bedivrei Torah. If there are 10 people who are paying attention to the Kriyah, a person may talk in Divrei Torah. Ve'yesh matirin lemi shetorato umanuto. And there are those who are of the opinion that if for this specific person, Torah is his vocation, meaning in other words, he is constantly and always immersed in learning Torah, then he may learn Torah during the Kriyah. Ve'yesh matirin lemi shekodem sheniftach sefer Torah. And there are those who are of the opinion that before they open the Sefer Torah to read, right before they begin Kriyat Torah, if a person marzir panav umareh atzmo she'eno rotze lishmoa, if a person turns his face and demonstrates that he does not want to listen, lishmoa Sefer Torah ela likrot, rather he wants to read, he wants to learn to himself, umatchil likrot, that is permitted. Once again, according to this opinion, there are many opinions in Seif Bet. According to this opinion, if before the Kriyat Torah, a person turned his face and clearly demonstrated he is not interested in listening, and he begins to learn to himself, that is mutar, as long as he began before the Kriyat Torah, and he turned his face and clearly demonstrated that he's not interested. ולקרות שניים מקרא ואחד תרגום בשעת קריאת התורה שרה. And to read שניים מקרא ואחד תרגום during the Kriyat Torah, obviously to read it to himself, that is mutar. Let's go to the Mishnah Brura. Kevan shehitril, the Magen Avraham mitzaded lomar, de misha'a sheniftach hasefer Torah, afilu lo hitril adayin hakoreh likrot. According to the Magen Avraham, once the Sefer Torah has been opened, even if the Baal Koreh did not yet begin to read, gam ken asur. It is already forbidden to speak, even to speak in Divrei Torah. V'chen mashma da'at hagra beve'uro. This, it seems to be that this is also the opinion of the Vilna Gaon. The misha'a shepatchu haSefer Torah kedei levarech asur lesaper. Once the Sefer Torah has been opened, in order for the Baal Koreh in order for the Oleh, the person who's been called up to say the bracha, at that point, it is already forbidden to talk. Afilu b'divrei Torah. V'chen lefaresh devar Torah o lehorot hora'a le'adam shesho'el. Whether to explain a devar Torah, or to give a ruling, or to give a psak halacha to someone who's asking, asur. It's forbidden. It's forbidden during Kriyat Torah. Ulafrushe meisura mutar lomar bederech ketzara. But in order to help a person, let's say you're observing that a person is committing a sin, an isur, during Kriyat Torah, you are allowed to tell him, but you should be as brief as possible. If you cannot, let's say a person is committing a sin, he's doing an isur, and it's in the middle of Kriyat Torah. The best is just to hint to him. But if you can't stop him from doing the isur through a hint, you can tell him in as brief words as possible. Afilu ben gavra legavra. Why can't you speak in between aliyot, in between the people who are called up? Shema yimashech halimud be'et kriya. Why can't you even learn Torah in between aliyot? Maybe you will continue to learn. You will continue during the kriya. You start in between the kriya, in between the aliyot, and then you'll continue when the Baal Koreh starts again. V'abach mekel belimud ben gavra legavra. The Bach is lenient as far as learning Torah in between aliyot, in between people being called up. Ube'aliyah rabba mitzaded. De'im acherim en lehakel shema yimashech. Ach lehorot az hora'ah lefisha en lahmir delo shchiach kol kach bazeh shema yimashech. According, the Eliyah Rabbah holds that for sure you cannot be lenient to learn with other people in between the aliyot, in between the people called up. However, to give a person a psak halacha, to give a person a ruling, that you don't have to be machmir. Delo shchiach kol kach bazeh shema yimashech. We're not afraid that you're going to continue into the Kriyat Torah. Im hishlim shnai mikra ve'achad targum. Even if a person concluded the parasha, he already did shnai mikra ve'achad targum. Ba'ayin bepri megadim shemetzaded lomar de'afilum kevar shama kriyat Torah ba'asara gam ken asur. Even if you did shnai mikra ve'achad targum that week, you may not talk. You may not learn Torah during the kriyah. And even if you already heard the kriyat Torah with 10 people, gam ken asur. V'chen mashma beve'ur hagra. V'yesh matirim. When, according to those who permitted, what is this talking about? Mayri di'ika sara detzaite la sefer Torah mi balado. The opinion that you are allowed to learn quietly during Kriyat Torah, that's talking specifically in a case that there are 10 people that are paying attention to the Kriyat Torah. And even according to this opinion that it's permitted, you certainly may not do it out loud, in order not to bother the other people who are listening. There is an opinion that for a person who Torah is his vocation, he is literally always immersed in the Torah. According to this opinion, Even if there are 10 people who are paying, aside for you, there are 10 people who are paying attention to the Kriyat Torah, it is not permitted to learn at the time of the Kriyah unless you are a person who Torah is your vocation, that you are always immersed in the Torah. She'eno mevatel shum sha'a milimudo. You are always immersed in learning. You never lose an hour. You never lose any time in learning. V'ayen be'Eliyah Rabbah shevi b'shem kama rishonim tehashta en lanu torato umanuto le'inyan zeh. The Eliyah Rabbah is of the opinion that today in our days we no longer have anyone that could be considered in the category of Torato Umanuto. Lemisha Kodem. Tam Shitazu, according to this opinion, that if before the Kriyat Torah you turn your face away and you clearly demonstrate that you're not interested, Desvira le shekevan shekevar hitril b'mitzvah mitechila. According to this opinion, that it's permitted as long as you started before the Baal Koreh begins the Kriyah and you turn your face away. Since you already started in the mitzvah of learning Torah. And other people already saw that you set yourself up to learn. You don't have an obligation to stop. But if you didn't already begin learning, if you did not already begin learning before, no one has the permission to begin during the Kriyat Torah. And according to this opinion, even a person that Torah is his vocation, no one is allowed to start learning. Share, it is permitted. According to the opinion, we're talking now about Shnai Mikra V'Echad Targum during the Kriyat Torah. Share lekol hadeot sheniskeru le'el. Kivan shehu me'en ma shekoreh shaliach tzibur. Why is Shnai Mikra V'Echad Targum permitted? Because it has to do with what the shaliach tzibur is reading. Af al pi shen koreh mamash bepasuk shaliach tzibur koreh, umikol makom gam ze eno mutar rak belachash shelo yibalbel da'at hashomim. Shnai Mikra V'Echad Targum is permitted. Even though he's not reading word for word with the Baal Koreh, he's in a different pasuk, it is permitted as long as you read it quietly. Okay, Rabotai, we'll stop here today.